already very familiar with a lot of the entries on the first two layers of this iceberg. Many of these entries have been covered to death on YouTube, and most of these entries lack anything interesting or dramatic or mysterious. And here's the thing, I think most people are coming to watch an iceberg video not to listen to someone talk about things that they're already familiar with, but instead to listen to someone talk about things that are new and fresh and have an air of mystery to them. So what I want to try and avoid doing here is making a video where you guys have to slog through boring entry after boring entry, just so every once in a while we can talk about something that's actually interesting. And then right after that we go back to boring entry. I went through all the entries on the first two layers of this iceberg and blurred out of focus all the ones that are not worth our time. So we're not going to spend any time on that. But then moving on to the first two layers. That's my favorite one. Shut up, take your complaints to the comments. There are so many interesting things on this iceberg that our time is not best spent talking about these entries. Okay, let's get into it. Pools closed. So this entry is a meme that's related to the game Habbo Hotel. Habbo Hotel is an online socializing multiplayer game. It's aimed at children. And in 2006, a couple groups on 4chan formed some raids where everyone chose this avatar and formed human blockades to block off pools and block off other entrances to the location. Some people say that this raid happened due to some rumors floating around on 4chan that moderators were abusing their moderation powers. And some people claim that this was a protest against that, although a lot of the people that participated in these raids probably did catchphrase amongst people in these raids, and this phrase kind of became a meme. Jones is a guy who's dedicated a solid portion of his life to being he's been Fedor, and since 2010 he's been roaming the streets of Seattle, Washington, trying to do good deeds. A black and gold colored suit that is supposedly reinforced with bullet and stab resistant clothing. He also wears a bulletproof vest underneath, and really his weapon of choice is or pepper spray. Or reportedly at one point he even tried carrying around a net launcher to catch criminals with. Throughout his career he's actually managed to stop from getting caught. He's also an MMA fighter. I think he's doing this Phoenix Jones thing as a publicity stunt. In 2020 he was arrested for a but since then he's seemingly been released and could potentially be roaming the streets of Seattle as we speak. Garfield minus Garfield. Garfield minus Garfield is a website that posts Garfield comics with Garfield removed from them. It turns the Garfield the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows is a website new words to describe specific emotions that don't have a specific word to describe them. For example, the word ringlore describes the feeling that goes with the wish that the modern world don't have it as the one word Probably the most popular word from this is the term sonder, which it defines as the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own emotions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited traits. Wikipedia deleted articles. So this is a Wikipedia page for Wikipedia articles that have been deemed unnecessary or weird or extreme, and when these articles are deleted, they're put on this deleted articles list. Probably my favorite ones on this list are Beware the Green Monkey, Inappropriate Touch Tuesday, and Quarantine. I look like Barack Obama. I look like BarackObama.com is a shitpost website about this guy that thinks he looks like Barack Obama. Hi, my name is Trevor, and I look taxes and health clarify, not Barack Obama. I'm not. He has bodyguards and dresses better. I drew all sorts of lines all over the images. It's not just a coincidence. You really look alike. Nowadays, this website's pretty much gone. If you try and visit iLookLikeBarackObama.com, you'll just get this page that has the definition of the term micro. Policies he maintains under legally requiring all Americans to government-funded research into time travel and providing every American with a free shift towards a pony-based economy. He's a comedian and performance artist. He's ran under the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and in the 2020 presidential election, he actually got third place in the Libertarian ticket. Also, here's a clip of performance as debate.
Mr. Supreme.
Who Killed Captain Alex? Who Killed Captain Alex is a Ugandan action film with a budget reportedly lower than $200. Isaac Godfrey Geoffrey, or I'm just going to call him Iguana, is the man behind this film. And this one guy is pretty much the complete driving force behind the film, with him directing, editing, and doing the screenplay for this film. Pretty much all the props and rigging for this film were made using scrap metal. Apparently, the computer that was used to edit this film was made with whatever old spare computer part that Iguana was able to get his hands on. The movie calls itself Uganda's first action film, and it probably is. And the original version of the film has seemingly been completely lost. The only version of the film that still exists is the Tumblr fandoms that existed. Completely attendees, even though they were some of what that ball pit looked like. I Love Bees. I Love Bees was an ARG that was set up to advertise and build hype for the release of Halo 2. In one of the trailers for Halo 2, at the end of the trailer, the website ilovebees.com would flash onto the screen, and if you were to decide to visit the website, you'd be met by this blog that was supposed to be owned by this beekeeper by the name of Margaret, and throughout the website there's these weird, glitchy, corrupted effects statements. Question: what happened to this site? Answer: no idea. Help me out. After digging into the website and looking into a blog associated with it, Margaret's daughter would express confusion and questions towards what was happening. Halo universe was seeking inserted itself into the I Love Bees website in an attempt to preserve itself, and while the AI was being hosted on the I Love Bees website, it would start corrupting the website, and it would try and send out messages to the outside world. This ARG would be tasked to solve puzzles to progress the story. One of the most important parts of the ARG tasking players to activate 777 axons to progress the story, and to activate these axons, players would need to visit certain GPS coordinates where payphones would be located, and while at the payphone would ring at a certain time, the players would be required to answer questions and provide the person on the other end axons were activated. Certain players of this ARG would be invited to 104 movie theaters. And this is the point where the webpage transitions towards blog to this narrative story thing called 17,776. This is the general idea of how it goes. The story is about 3 space probes who, after aimlessly floating through space for a lot of time, eventually gain sentience and go thousands of years of just floating through space aimlessly. They eventually in the year 17,776, humans on Earth have basically become immortal. No one dies, no one reproduces, everyone lives in good health, war, conflict is ended, and since at this point, they have nothing better to do than play absolutely crazy and convoluted versions of somewhere in the continental United States, the first to touch the ball was awarded points. It was a version of the game that was being played between the Mexican and Canadian border that has been in a deadlock for 13,000 years. The Bibbits. The Bibbits is an artificial life evolution simulator. Within the simulation, there's these creatures called Bibbits, and just like real life, they're trying to get food to stay alive. At the start, all the Bibbits will be given slightly different versions of genes, making some of them more effective at getting food. The Bibbits can reproduce and pass on their genes to the next generation. So through natural selection, the Bibbits will evolve to become much more effective at getting food, and it can lead the Bibbits to become really complicated. The Bibbits are programmed to have brains that can evolve into really complex behaviors. So as the simulation goes on, you start seeing Bibbits. So the idea behind cyber ethnography is just like real-life people groups have their own unique cultures and customs and dialects, online people groups do as well. So the idea being a role-playing group on Tumblr will probably have a different culture than a hate group on 4chan, and they will probably have different cultures than that of a Facebook group for moms. All these online people groups will have their own unique values, traditions, moral standards, and they'll all even have their own unique dialects to some extent. 2,222 card Yu-Gi-Oh! Day. At the 2007 Yu-Gi-Oh! German Nationals, a tournament with a 2,200. At the time, the whole point of the deck was to waste as much time as possible when going up against your opponent. This deck was also reportedly disproportionately made up of search cards, and in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anytime you use a search card, you have to shuffle your entire deck afterwards, and shuffling a 2,222 card deck takes up a ton of time. This deck was brought to the tournament by a guy by the name of Mike Sway. The deck was disqualified the second round of the tournament. The judge at the tournament determined that the deck could not be shuffled in a reasonable amount, and he requested Mike Sway comply. Probably at least part of the reason Mike Sway did this was just to make a joke, but also at the same time, it was probably Sway the flaws that were in the rule set at the time. At the time, there was no limit to how many cards the deck could have. 60 card deck, and making this type of move. 2009. This unreleased music was often referred to as being in the Michael Jackson vault, which is published by Sony. There's been a lot of unreleased music that's been released on Jackson's deck, but according to Sony, there is still a lot of unreleased stuff being stored on Michael Jackson vault, but they have no intentions of releasing it yet. At least that's what they say on the Michael Jackson website. Club Penguin private servers. Club Penguin was an online multiplayer game that was shut down in March of 2017 by Disney. The player base had shrunken pretty substantially, and it probably wasn't a very profitable venture anymore. But let me tell you, this didn't stop dedicated Club Penguin players from keeping the community alive. After the shutdown of Club Penguin, many private Club Penguin servers started popping up and being hosted by private individuals who are not officially being supported by Disney. Probably the most popular version of the game that you can play right now is Club Penguin Rewritten. In May of 2020, the BBC reported on this other private, unofficial version of the game called Club Penguin Online. They made an article on Club Penguin Online, and they were saying that it was not being moderated properly, and the game was being and the game was unsuitable for children, and this led to Disney hunting down the developers behind Club Penguin Online, shutting the game down. Library every book that has ever existed, every book that ever will exist, every document ever written, every paper ever written, every song, poem, scripture, and document. So the way this works is the website has on demand every single combination of English alphabet characters, as long as it's 3,200 characters long. That is a catch to it. So imagine a book with 3,200 characters in it, and this library has every combination of 3,200 characters that could exist. Sure, most of the books in this library are complete gibberish, but amongst all these books, there can also be anything. You could find the Bible, Harry Potter, 50 pages. Access to a combination of letters, as long as it's walls of bookcases, each case having 5 shelves, each shelf having 32 books. Lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is when you are dreaming and you know you are dreaming. A lot of people say that they can take control of their dreams when they're lucid dreaming and like control the things around them, make things happen, do whatever they want. The exact mechanism that makes lucid dreaming happen is unknown. There are a lot of different methods people have developed that supposedly can help people achieve lucid dreaming more often. One of the things you can do is what's called a reality check. Every once in a while in everyday life, just look around and make sure you're in reality. Make sure, for example, look down at your fingers and make sure you have 5 of them. Make sure you're still in reality. If you make a habit out of reality check, realize you're writing down the things. Another is while you're falling asleep, try and imagine the scenario you want to be in your lucid dream. Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is an indie game that has been in development since 2002, and through nearly its entire development, it's only had 2 developers working on it. The game has multiple different game modes you can play, but the most popular world where you take control of a group of dwarves with the main goal of creating and growing a fortress. The game uses incredibly simple graphics, but what makes this game really stand out is how many systems and pieces the game has. Like, just the sheer amount of things that can happen and will happen and take place. It's kind of hard to just give you an idea of how complicated and how much stuff goes on in this game. So I'm gonna talk about what the developer did, where he's talking about patched out from Dwarf Fortress. I think this interview does a good job illustrating how complicated and complex things get in this game. Basically what he does in the interview is he explains a glitch that they patched out from Dwarf Fortress. So what was happening is they recently added bartenders to bars in Dwarf Fortress, and what would happen is dwarves would come into these bars and the